Hello punters and welcome back to a Saturday racing preview. Apologies on the lateness of this video. Hopefully you can get it out and plenty of you can get on and watch it before tomorrow's races. Of course, in this video, looking at the Rosehill meeting tomorrow as well as the Gold Coast meeting. So because I'm putting two into one, I'm going to be getting through each race a little bit quicker than normal. So apologies that I won't be spending as long on each runner to make a good case. So I'll do the best I can for you to, I guess, give you a bit of an idea on what I think is good chances, and I'll break down each runner as best I can for you. But I will be getting through it as quickly as possible, so hopefully you guys can keep up with me. So we'll get straight into it tomorrow. Race number 1, Tab Highway Handicap at Rosehill, 1500 metre race, and it starts at 11:35 tomorrow. So that Rosehill is the earliest. Make sure you're ready to go. The weather's fine up there. Good 4, fantastic to see a good 4 track. So really look forward to playing into that. But the first race of the card, of course, is the Tab Highway. Looking at the speed map for the highway race, it's not a whole lot of speed to it, surprisingly. Only Shelby 66 and Nation. I think they'll be the two speed horses, with Rent to Rock perhaps pushing up and sitting in behind them. I'd say perfect pitch and without a risk might look to get forward and maybe sit just in behind some of those runners. I'll be interested to see if maybe Lord Decimu gets forward from an outside barrier there. But not a whole lot of speed in the race, and I think it'll be dictated by some of these front markers. And one of them is number 9, Shelby 66, who I think is a very good chance and comes in the race with some nice form. Has had 4 starts so far in its career for 2 wins, 2 placings. Its last start on a heavy track was very impressive, but it's gotten wins on all surfaces, which is what you want to see. It's had a win on a good track, win on a heavy. Both of those are over 1200 metres. Has been tested out at the 1425, finished second on that occasion to a horse called River Charge at Maria. So I don't think the distance will be too much for a problem. Brenton Dull in the saddle. Looks to be a very good each way prospect. So I've got it on top for me ahead of number 7, Cyborg, who I thought was a bit of value here. I think coming back onto a good surface here. It's had 3 good runs in a row, and this preparation has only missed the Quinella spot once from 6 starts. So really is a consistent horse, and I think it come into this race and run a good race at the 17-1. I think it was well over the odds, so it's one I think has got a good chance. Number 6, Shamusu Shu. It's got to navigate that barrier number 13, similar to Cyborg, but if it can do, I think it can run a good enough race. Its last start win was really impressive at Narromine, and won by 4.3 lengths, and has really been winning in some style. Obviously, the start before that won by 5 lengths. It's won its last 2 starts by a combined 9.3 lengths. So that's what you want to see. It's a horse that's in form. I think it's probably a little bit short, 420, considering it's got to navigate that wide barrier. Not a whole lot of pace in the race. It's going to have to do a lot from back in the field, but I do concede it's got a lot of ability. And number 3, Perfect Pitch, always runs a good enough race. So look, I think it'll run well enough here again, coming back onto a firm track after having 2 recent runs on a soft tracks. But for me, look, I'm pretty keen to play number 9, Shelby 66. I think it can win the race here with not a whole lot of pressure in front. Number 7, Cyborg, bit of each way value there. I think is a good chance. Number 6, Shamusu Shu in for 3rd, and then for 4th, number 3, Perfect Pitch. Moving on to race number 2 on the program now, and it's the Segenho Stud Benchmark 78 handicap over the 2,400 metres. Look at the speed map for the 2,400 metre race here. I'd say that Lord Tropicana, Costello, and he runs away, will be up there. I'd say Monsieur Sissu usually finds the top. Shock Alert and Loves to Rock will be getting forward. So that first little, when they go past the judge the first time, will be very interesting to see where they land from those positions and how much pressure is put on those early stages, and to see what sort of tempo they go for some of these back markers. Look, I'm pretty keen to. I think it's a race in 2 here, and they're both the 2 favourites in the market. I think Fanciful Toff's the one that I want to be following, though. Second last time out to 2 Close the Sun in the Terrain Cup. I was pretty keen at that day, and obviously bumped into a very smart type in 2 Close the Sun, who has since come out, won a Warrnambool Cup, and now is going to be going around tomorrow in the Andrew Ramsden at a good price. So was one of the fancy runners, the second favourite, in fact. So I think for me that's got to be the right form to bring into a race like this. I think Fanciful Toff can win here as a horse that performs well at Rosehill. Had 9 starts for 3 wins and 3 placings. Performs on all conditions. Really is a consistent horse, and is one you could take each way at $4.60 and $1.95 the place. The other one is, of course, Costello, the top weight. Beat Welsh Legend last time out with 61.5, and look, Welsh Legend has gone on since and run well. So the form around Costello is quite good as well. So I think they're the 2 to beat. I really do think that they're in form, and that's what you want to be following. So they're the 2 that are on top for me. Ahead of number 10, Harpo Marks, who Has had a couple of disappointing runs since it sort of made its debut here in Australia, whereas it came across with a bit of a booming and went to Hawkesbury, ran just fair there, then finished, had a nice third at Canterbury. Then last time out, jumped as favourite at Warwick Farm, was quite disappointing there. Just never really came on into the race, but willing to forgive that. Hopefully this time around it can bounce back at $7.50. It's a good enough price to find out. And number 12, La Grisa, it was a horse who was looking to be pushing towards a win, and last start was quite disappointing, beating as an odds-on favourite at Newcastle. But if it can bounce back to the form I had prior to those two runs, I think it can run well enough here. So recap the numbers for me. I'm pretty keen on number 2, Fanciful Top on top. Ahead of number 1, Costello in for second. In for third, number 10, Harpo Marks. And in for fourth, number 12, La Grisa. Moving on to race number 3 on the program now, and it's the Yarraman Park Woodland Stakes over 1,100 metres for the 2-year-old fillies. Pretty nice race here, and look at the speed map, but I'd suggest there'll be a lot of these who'll be making some early toe. Macruya, the favourite, will be off the inside barrier, getting forward. Mrs. Maisel, Sefterbrook will probably be up towards the pace. Cross the Rubicon, Super Bella, Panacotta, Bellevue Stars the leader, and it's got barrier 10, so a bit of a tricky draw for it. And Marbusha is also another horse that likes to get up on the pace, so I can see a lot of speed here. And I think it'll set up nice for Sonsi, who I'm willing to forgive its last 2 runs. Both of those were on soft surfaces, so I'm willing to concede maybe this horse is not a wet tracker. Look back at its debut run where it beat Sentimental here at Rosehill over 1,100 metres on a firm track. It won really nicely there. It was well back that day. So I'm willing to forgive that its last 2 runs, and perhaps suggest that with all this tempo in the race, it might be able to come into it nicely. I think $14 is a very nice price to find out. So Sonsi goes on top for me, ahead of number 1, Macruya, who obviously has barrier number 1. That's going to really help its favour. It was a good win last time out, beating Wild Rule. I think that's good enough form to bring into this. Prior to that, beat Already Blessed. So pretty good 2-year-old form to bring into a race like this. $3.60 is a fair price. In for third, number 8, Newsreader, who was finished third, first up behind Macruya, was making good late ground there. I think that was a nice run, and it could be much improved off of that here. So got in for third. Then for fourth, number 7, Panacotta, who was a very nice win last time out, first up, beating Kiku at Randwick on the Kensington track on a Wednesday meeting. I thought that was a nice win there. Look, pretty keen as well. Other chances, look, Bellevue Star, if I had a drawn a gate, would have been pretty keen. I had this horse on top first time round, beat Eliza Bill, who since come out run a third again in Saturday grade in a 2-year-old race, so the form's good around it. Zefterbrook has been in nice form as well. Not too sure about the Musselbrook and Wellington form, though, coming into this, so I've got to sit back and watch. I just thought that horse was a bit short in the market. But look, I'm pretty keen on Sansi on top. Ahead of number 1, Macruya, in for second. In for third, number 8, Newsreader, and in for fourth, number 7, Panacotta. Moving on to race number 4 on the program now. It's the English 3-year-old Guineas. Small field here, but a very good field indeed. Looking at the speed map here, I'd suggest that Bandersnatch will find the top. I'd say Masked Crusader will go up there with it. Roger Clock might sit in behind with True Detective, and Dawn Passage and Air to Air I think will go towards the back of the field. Very, very good field here. Look, I've got to stick with... It was a real toss-up between Bandersnatch and Dawn Passage here for me. I'm keen to stick with Dawn Passage. There's a few of these horses that are real personal favourites of mine, and I've followed for a while, so it's made it hard for me to split them. But Dawn Passage was just so impressive last time here at Rosehill, and won with a lot of style and conviction. Beat St. Covert Spirit, who was in some... it was really running nicely. Prior to that, its form around Splintex and California Zimbal, I think, is really good to bring into a race like this. Been pretty well supported in the market early as well. So I think Dawn Passage will win here. If they go at a good enough tempo, it could just peel off the backs and run down the outside and finish over the top of them. So I've got it on top. Ahead of number 3, Bandersnatch, who I was very keen on and made it my best bet. Obviously, it was just beaten by Facetos, who has since come out today and run a second in the Scone Cup. So the form around Facetos is good enough. Bandersnatch, look, I was very keen on it first up, and I was a little disappointed, but it was interesting because it was collared, but it kept fighting to the line. It got through the line okay. So I think second up it would be much improved here at the $8.50. Number 4, Masked Crusader, and for third, look, I admit it's got a lot of ability, but I mentioned in my review show that I think this horse is a bit under the odds here because I'm just not sure about that form last time out, whereas was beat Segala in some of the field there, and Segala should have got a lot closer. It got held up at a critical stage of the race, didn't get out till late and got home. And I know that Berry didn't ask for much from it, but he's got to really show it against some real top line horses now. That these are real proper group horses now, so. I just want to wait and see. He's $1.90. Just not sure if he's up to the, obviously the sectionals and the time suggest he might be up to the level, but if he comes under the pressure, it'd be interesting to see if he can handle it. Number 5, Roach O'Clock, goes on for fourth for me. They're the clear top 4. Roach O'Clock was superb last time out. I was very keen on it. Had as one of my best bets of the program, and it did so nicely. It's had a bit of a spell since then. That run was back on the 2nd of May, so it's had a couple of weeks off. It comes into this now, fresh up, ready to go. I think it will be right in the finish as well. So very tough race. I'm going to go landed with Dawn Passage on top though, ahead of number 3, Bandersnatcher for second. In for third, number 5, Masked Crusader. Number 4, Masked Crusader. Like I said, no knock, just has to do it at this level now. He's $1.90, bit of a query there. And number 5, Roach O'Clock, in for fourth. Moving on into race number 5 of the program, it's the finally started benchmark 78 handicap, over 1100 metres. Looking at the speed map here, benchmark 78. Say Adelong, Golden Tide, Coon and Oneness will find the top. That'll be the speed factors. Akasaki and Lashes will probably sit not far behind. And Snow Zone will probably be up towards the pace as well. So a little bit of speed in a race, but you do expect an 1100 metre dash. Look, I'm pretty keen to play Lashes here. I think she's got a great chance first up. She's trialled in really well. Last preparation, she beat Adelong's first up over 1100 metres. Now, Adelong's got the run under the belt, but I think Lash is just going to get the perfect run of the race here, sitting just in behind the speed. She'll be able to, hopefully can get the gap and get out, and she'll be too good. So I think she's the one to put on top, ahead of number 9, Adelong, who was really well supported first up at Canterbury, finished second on that occasion behind Lesage. Lesage, since come out last Saturday, was beaten by Blazing Miss, who has come out of that form race. So look, you can still tie up the form, and you can say it's good enough behind Adelong. I think 230 is a bit short, but look, I do see it's a good horse and has that first up record. Has had that first up run, which is obviously very key over Lashes, who comes into this first up. But look, 230 is probably just a bit rock bottom for me, so I've got him for second. In for third, number 10, La Cosmo, who, look, she just doesn't know how to run a bad race. She just doesn't know how to win. That's the only problem. She's had 12 starts now. She's only missed a placing once, but she's had 1 win for 10 placings. So you can take, I'd probably look at her at a bit of a place bet, more so than a win bet. So she can definitely win, and she is mapped to get a really good run in the race. But like I said, she just doesn't win out of turns, so that's a bit of a concern. So I've got her in for third. And then in for fourth, number 5, Broken Arrows, I think can run a good enough race here first up as well. Obviously, last preparation was in stellar form. It didn't miss the Quinella position too many times. So you can take that with a bit of confidence. And there's a horse that has had 15 starts in its career, and it's only missed a placing 4 times out of its 15 starts. So you can take it each way with a bit of confidence at the $10. I think it's a nice price. But look, I'm pretty keen on number 3, Lashes. I think it's the one to beat. So I've got it on top of number 9, Adelong, and for second. And for third, number 10, La Cosmo, and for fourth, number 5, Broken Arrows. Moving on to race number 6 on the program now. It's the Tab Luskin Star Stakes, the listed race over 1,300 metres. It's a very nice field as well. Looking at the speed map, I'd say 11 and Sambro will be the 2 pairs in the lead. Graff will probably go just in behind them, and Special Missile will probably boot up off the inside barrier and get in behind the speed as well. But look, I think this is the race for Graff here. I think he's probably my best bet of the program. He looks really hard to beat. He was good first up. I was very impressed with that performance, where he finished 4th behind Tactical Advantage. Got through the line really well. He's going to be much better second up here, and I think he'll relish coming, so stepping up to the 1,300 metres, which I think will suit him much better than the 1,100 did first up. But he was doing his best work late, so I think he's going to be well improved, and he'll be really hard to beat here. So he goes on top of for me, ahead of number 3, Raceday, who runs well here at Rosehill. Have 4 starts for 2 wins and a placing at the track, and comes into this second up off a very good win first up. It beat Faceoff, so like I've mentioned, the form lines around Faceoff are quite good. So, and we know that Faceoff is quite a smart horse. So Ranier's got a real good chance here. Has a nice trick over trial in between that run. Obviously, that was back last month on the 18th. And so it comes into this fresh up off that sort of 1 month spell. Usually when Hugh Bowman's in the saddle as well, he runs a good race. So I think he'll be running in the Quinella position here behind Graff. So they're probably the 2 for me. In for third, number 4, Lanciato, was much improved last time out. It was a nice 4th. Don't think it's going to get the tempo to come into it. I'm not sure if it can turn the tables on Rainier from last start. But look, I do see that he was running home well. He got through the line nicely. And I think he could run well for enough third up here into this race. So I've got him for third. And then in for fourth, I've got well, it's interesting that number 5, Tato Key, I don't think should be 100 to 1, really. I mean, I mean, first up, it was disappointing behind Tactical Advantage. Obviously, has to improve off that, but its second up record is really, really good. It's had 4 starts for 2 wins and 2 placings. I know it's got a lot of improvement to do, and as a horse that hasn't really fired since it's come over, it hasn't actually beaten a run at home in 2 starts so far. But looking back at its form before it came to Australia, it was pretty good. So if it can return to that type of form, it's not the worst 100 to 1 shot. I don't think it can beat some of these, but I thought it was just worth mentioning. I think it can beat some of these home, most certainly. Definitely shouldn't be the outside of the field, in my opinion. So, look, I'm going to have Graf on top. I think it's the one to beat. He looks well primed in a race like this. So I've got him on top ahead of number 3, Ranier, and for second. In for third, number 4, Lanciato, and in for fourth, number 5, Tato Keo. I thought it's just a little bit of a, shouldn't be 100 to 1 in my opinion. Moving on to race number 7, it's 1100 metre 3-year-old fillies race. It's the Coolmore Denny's Joy Stakes. Look at the speed map here. I'd say quite a lot of pace, really. There's just about all these get forward of their runs normally. Way Up in the Sky, Sally's Day, Fortuce, Intrepidatious, Iconic Star. Like they basically all are usually front runners, which makes it very difficult. Now, I'm hoping that Bella Rossa usually gets forward in some of her runs. She actually goes and takes a trip back in the field and looks to run on. And I'm hoping that's the case because her 2 trials have been really nice leading in. She was in some very good form races in her previous race start. She had a second first up as a 2-year-old behind Loving Gabby, and we know how good Loving Gabby is. So in a race like this, look, she could really perform here. Obviously, she comes off a 273-day spell, but her 2 trials leading have been quite nice. Not the worst 40 to 1 shot. No, that's why I'm hoping that Glenn Boss takes her back from that barrier out wide and uses all that tempo in the race to come into it nicely and hopefully can finish over the top of him. So I think it's just not the worst 40 to 1 shot, and I'm going to have it on top ahead of number 4, Aquitane, who was in ripper form last preparations, had a quick 98-day spell, 2 real nice trials leading in, looks sharp and ready to go. Rarely runs a bad race, only missed a placing once in its career so far from 7 starts. So I think she will run well first up here. For Choose, has got a good chance. I think 240's probably at the bottom of the odds. It was really impressive last time out being La Cosmo, but really has a step up here. This is a bit of a step up in class and isn't necessarily the type of... last time it went up to sort of a grade similar to this, it was beaten by Hightail, finished 7th at Gosford when it jumped at 330. So, bit of a query for me at the 240. Just think it's a bit short. Well, I do concede that she's got a stack of ability, so she's going to be in the numbers. I think she'll be in the finish. I'm just not sure about her price. And Way Up in the Sky is really knocking on the door now. It's had 2 seconds in a row, one to Excess Funds and the other one to Rubasaki, which I think is really got to be, that's pretty premier form. So can definitely bounce back here. Get barrier number 1 is really ideal with all the speed in the race. Brent Abdullah can decide what he does on her, and I think she can run a good race as well. But look, I just thought that Bella Rossa was just a bit over the odds here, especially if it can drop back from that draw and come on into the race. I just think 40 to 1 was a bit overs in what is quite an open race. So I've got it on top ahead of number 4, Aquitane, for second. In for third, number 5, for Choose, and in for fourth, number 1, Way Up in the Sky. Moving on to race number 8 now. It's the Emirates Park Dark Jewel Classic for the Fillies and Mares Group 3 race, 1400 metres. And a very nice race here once again. So it's a pretty good card at Rosehill on tomorrow, so really looking forward to it. Look at the speed map. I'd say Amangiri and Improvement will be up, find the front. RF will probably spear out from the outside barrier, try and get across them and take up the running, or should be up towards the pace. Usually Ready to Profit's up there as well, so I'd say there'd be the speed factors in the race. Look, I'm actually pretty keen here. I think Amangiri can go back-to-back, but I'm going to go against it as a winner because I think that there's a horse that actually has a bit of, look, for me, just a bit of appeal. And for me, that is... sorry, just give me a sec. Romany Girl. I just thought that 21 to 1 was a bit over the odds about this horse. He's going to have to get back and hope for a bit of a tempo to lead into the race, which on paper it doesn't suggest there's too many, but did win really impressively last time out, first up, over 1,250 metres. It gets the 1,400 here first up, which I think is going to be quite in this horse's wheelhouse, and it's got some good form around last preparation. It's a good fresh horse, had 3 starts first up for a win and 2 placings, and has run here at the distance 5 times and never missed a place. So doesn't mind the 1,400 metres, and I think she was just a bit over the odds at 20 to 1, so I wanted to give her a mention on top. Amangiri for second, like I said, very good winning chance. She was very good winning the Hawkesbury Gold Cup last time out, and the form out of that's been superb. So no knock on her. I think she's got a good chance to win again. Just thought $440.90. This is probably a fair price. Just like I said, I wanted to make mention to Romney Girl. I thought it had a good chance at those type of odds. In for third, I'm pretty keen on another horse that I think is a bit over the odds is number 10, Ready to Profit. Now, this horse was disappointing first up where it was beaten by High Tail. But I'm willing to forgive that first up run because it never usually fires first up. It's second up when this horse really comes into it. It's had four starts second up for the wins and 2 placings. So I think it can bounce back off that last start performance and run much better here. And it's really mapped to get a nice run in the race as well. So with Adam Hieronymus in the saddle, I think this horse can run well enough at the $26. I think it's probably worth a bit of a chance. And number 2, Tally Play, I think it can bounce back off its last start disappointment at Morphettville. Prior to that, had some real good form and was in some very nice racing. And I think third up here, we'll see improvement. Last preparation, it won third up at Flemington, beating La Tigressa during the Spring Carnival, the Melbourne Cup Carnival. So it has that wide barrier, but if it can, I guess, deal with that wide barrier, it can be right in the finish here. So good race, and for me there's a few nice each way options, and one of those is Romney Girl, who I've got on top ahead of number 1 Amagiri for second. In for third, number 10 Ready to Profit. In for fourth, number 2 Tally Play. Look, other chances in this race, I think Delectation Girl has a chance to bounce back here. Just doesn't win out of turn, but this last start performance was good, and that fourth behind Contempatiro, of course, was the Cornwall Legacy. So look, she's knocking on the door for a win. She's getting very close, and I think she can run well enough here as well. So if you count on her, I'd be wouldn't take you off backing her. And obviously, Sweet Scandal knocked off in her time last time around, who's a proper Group 1 horse. So I think that form for Sweet Scandal is quite good as well, and she could run a good race here as well. So they're probably my chances in race number 8. Now, moving on into the final race of the card, race number 9. It's the Arrowfield Hortensia Stakes, listed race over the 1100 metres. And look at the speed map here. I'd suggest that Villamine and Star Boy will be the 2 leaders. Dirty Work probably sitting behind them from barrier number 1. Spending to win, I'd say Alban might push forward from an outside barrier because it looks a bit of a sticky gate for it if it goes back in the field. So interesting to see where it'll land in the run. But look, this is a real nice race here, and I think Bonamee's a bit of value here first up. I think it's got a nice chance. Obviously, it's a very good fresh horse. So 6 starts first up for her, 3 wins and 2 placings. Very good on top of the ground. I think it can run well enough here in this type of race. Last prep, first up, finished third to Savatiano, who's a proper Group 1 horse. So, look, I think Bonamee's got a real nice chance here at the $11. So I've got it on top. Ahead of number 8, Noble Boy, who's had a stable change now with Claire Cunningham. This horse has always had a lot of X factor and a lot of ability. And I think that maybe the stable change, we might be able to see this horse go really explode first up here at $9.50. Really nice price. So I'm going to have it in for second. In for third, number 4, God of Thunder, who was really good last time out, finished third behind Tactical Advantage. I think that's right form to bring into a race like this. Prior to that, we finished 5th to Vega Days. So I think God of Thunder can run well here. Obviously, back at Rosehill, and which is a track that he quite enjoys. He's only ever missed a placing once from 5 starts here at the track. So I think he'll run well, especially from that barrier. Looks to get a good run in the race. And number 3, Villamai of the speed horses, I think she'll be the one that will stick on. She was only just narrowly run over by Tactical Advantage last time out. Prior to that was 6th to Vega Days. So if it comes in this, I think it can run well enough again as well. But look, I'm pretty keen on number 1, Bonamie here. I think it's got a very good chance in the last as an each way chance. In for second, number 8, Noble Boy, who, like I said, stable change, real query and interest on him. In for third, number 4, God of Thunder. And in for fourth, in for third, number 4, God of Thunder. And in for fourth, number 3, Villamai. Now, my best bets of the program at Rosehill. So my best bet of the program at Rosehill is it comes in race number 6, the Luskin Star Stakes, and it is number 1, Graf. I think he can win that race. He's going to be my best bet of the program. My second best bet will be coming in race number 5. No, sorry, race number 4. And it is, of course, number 1, Dawn Passage, as my other best bet of the program. Now, my best value bets of the program, I'm going to be looking at race number 7, and it is Romney Girl, which is race number 8 with Romney Girl there. I think it's a very open race, and I think she's got a nice chance fresh first up at $21. So she's going to be one of my best value bets of the program. So it's race number 8, number 12, Romney Girl. And the other one that I like at a bit of each way odds comes in the final race, and it is number 1 Bonami at the $11. Now, moving on into the Gold Coast meeting, and not going to run through the whole program, just going to look at the main races on the card. Look, I am quite keen in race number 1 though. I'm keen on a horse called Stylish Saga. Sorry, I think it's got a nice chance here. It was beaten as an odds-on favourite first up, but I think it can bounce back here. Second up, was beaten by the Tenor, who's pretty handy sort of galloper on its day, so I think that Stylish Saga can bounce back here and run a good enough race. Doesn't have a rider listed at the moment, but if it does, I'd suggest it be hard to beat at the $7.50. And moving on into the feature meetings at the Gold Coast tomorrow. So in race number 6, it is a 2-year-old Group 3. It's the Ken Russell Memorial Classic. So looking at the speed map in this race, I'd say Spokesman and Wisdom of Water always on show will be up there. Bangers and Mayo and Kavak from barrier number 11, I would say, also be trying to get across and into a decent enough position. Look, I'm very keen on number 4, Safiano here. Now, this horse won well last time out at Rosehill, beat Formentura on that occasion. Formentera. Prior to that, finished a 5th behind Ocean Emperor. Now, Ocean Emperor since came out and failed last week, finished last, but this horse, Safiano, was very good last time out. Was a really good win at Rosehill. I think it can bounce back off of that and run well here at the $6.50. So I've got it on top ahead of number 1, Wisdom of Water, who I haven't got much of a knock on. I just think that it's a little bit unders at $1.55. Was a good win first up at the $1.30, won by 5.5 lengths. Didn't beat a whole lot there, though, in my opinion. Obviously, this horse did finish 4th in the Magic Million, so it's got a lot of talent. I just think $1.55 is a bit short, so I've got it in for second. In for third, I'm pretty keen on number 7, Super Rare, who won well nicely last time out, being Tick Tick Boom at it's the Sunshine Coast. Thing can bounce, can go off of that and run well here again. So I've got it in for second. In for third, sorry, and in for fourth, number 3, Spokesman, who looks to get a nice run in the race and was really good beating Glaciers first up on a heavy track at Warwick Farms. Since had a good tick over trial behind Hulk as well at Rosehill. That looked pretty sharp there and looks ready to go. I think $10 is a bit over the odds about it. But look, pretty keen on number 4, Safiano on top for me. Ahead of number 1, Wisdom of Water, and for second. In for third, number 7, Super Rare, and in for fourth, number 3, Spokesman. Moving on into race number 7 on the program at the Gold Coast, and we're looking at, sorry, not race number 7, race number 8 is the Gold Coast Guineas, of course, 3-year-olds Group 3 race over the 1,200 metres. Look at the speed map here, a lot of speed, say Stamp, Bellevue Hill off the inside barrier, Zack Attack, Scathing, Baroda, the Odyssey will definitely be up there and getting forward. So a fair bit of speed in this race. I think it'll set up nice for Hightail here, who was very impressive performance first up, and I was obviously very keen on that day, and it got up nicely at the $7. Think it can bounce back off of that and run well here again. Comes to a track that it has run at twice, has only placed once at, but I think that first up performance, it can get a lot of benefit off of that and run well here again. This horse that finished 4th by an Alligator Blood in the 3-year-old Magic Millions here at this track. So return to that type of form, we'll see it go really close here, and this horse is absolutely flying at the moment. So I think it's going to be the one to beat. Ahead of number 10, Exhilarates, who returns to a track that she really enjoys. She's had 3 runs here at the Gold Coast for 2 wins and a placing. So she hasn't been here since she ran that third behind Alligator Blood in the Magic Millions 3-year-old race. She's been around some very good form lines. She was beaten, though, first up by Hightail, which is interesting last preparation. So I am keeping that in mind, and I think Hightail's got the better chance over Exhilarates here, but they'll be the 2 that'll be coming home late for me. In for third, number 5, Garibaldi, who's run well in 2 starts so far, just hasn't quite been able to get the job done. It finished second last night at the Odyssey, who is going to be my 4th selection, but I think that with all the tempo in the race, it'll come into it nicely as well. And in for 4th, I've got number 8, Command and Conqueror, who is the favourite, but for me has got to really step up to it. I guess the top line form here has faced some really good 3-year-olds, so I think it's probably a little bit under the odds, but I do see it's got a nice chance. And like I said, the Odyssey is another one I give a chance to, and also Bellevue Hill, its best form, could run well enough here as well. So moving on into, I'm just going to have a look at the final race to the card at the Gold Coast. It is a fillies and mares race over 1,200 metres, the Atwood Marshall Lawyers Silk Stocking race. Look at the speed map here in this one. I'd say that TARDIS and Zack Attack, if Zack Attack goes in this race rather than the one prior, will get forward, and Nydorp will be up there. But not a whole lot of speed in this final race on the card. But look, I don't think that'll bother my on-top selection. It is number 4, Razin, who was good enough last night behind Tactical Advantage. I think that is the right form to bring into this race. Comes back on top of the ground, which I think it'll be. It is a bit of a wet track of this horse, but it was a good run last time out behind Tactical Advantage. And like I said, I think that's going to be the right form here. I think $13 is a real nice price. So I've got it on top ahead of number 1, Mortaja, the stablemate, who comes in this second up, will be much improved off that first up run where it finished 5th behind Sweet Scandal. We'll get a bit of a guide on some of those form lines with some of those runners going around at Rosehill before this race will jump. So I think that'll be a good couple of good form references there. Nydorp in for 3rd, like I said, will be land on the pace more than likely, and give them something to catch has been really good. Like I said, I give Garibaldi a chance in the race prior, so if it can run well, I'd be giving Nydorp even bigger push here, so it goes in for 3rd. And then in for 4th, number 8, Crone, who I think can run well enough first up here with Tony Gollan. Formerly was with Michael Kent and Mick Price. Michael Kent Jr. and Mick Price. I think this horse can run well enough first up. Its trial leading into this at Doomben was really sharp, and I was quite impressed with it. So just having the new stable and I guess the new surroundings, it might run a good race. So I've got the other chance I've got is I think number 11, Jen Ruleslink. She's got a nice chance here. She was very good first up, finishing 2nd behind Snitz, and I think we've seen what that form's done. Snitz came out last week and beat some handy gallopers in Grey Worm and the like. So they're my numbers at the Gold Coast and at Rosehill. Hopefully you have a great day tomorrow of racing. There's a lot of very good racing around the country. If you haven't already done so, check out my social media channel, _racetip on Instagram and C-Lane Race Tips on Facebook. If you want to check out all my tips across the country, including all of these and plus all my tips from Monday to Sunday, I post just about every day with tips. So if you're looking for a few more, go and check me out on those socials. Leave your comments down below with my Saturday review show, which I'll be posting out on Sunday or Monday. I will be answering your questions. So once the races are done, feel free to come back onto these videos and post some questions. Otherwise, keep an eye on social media where I'll be posting questions for you to ask me, which I'll be answering on the Sunday review show. So hopefully we can get plenty of winners and plenty to talk about in the Saturday review show. So I look forward to seeing you then. Hopefully we find plenty of winners, and hope you enjoyed these videos. Subscribe if you're new. Give me some comments down below, some feedback. I love the discussion, so I can get that going down below. Really appreciate a lot of your comments. So thank you for tuning in. Good luck tomorrow, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend.